to the First Unitarian Universalist Society of Albany. My name is Sigrun Newell, and I am a service associate today. Today, by the magic of Zoom, calling in from the Adirondacks, is our guest speaker, Joe Bruchac. For over 40 years, Joe has been creating literature and music that reflects his indigenous heritage and traditions. He is a proud Nulhegan Abenaki citizen. You may have heard the word Abenaki pronounced Abenaki. Joe says Abenaki matches the spoken language better, so I'll use that. Joe is the author of more than 120 books for children and adults. With his sister and 2 grown sons, Joe continues to work extensively in projects involving the preservation of Abenaki culture, language, and traditional native skills, including performing traditional and contemporary Abenaki music. As a professional teller of the traditional tales of the Adirondacks and the native peoples of the northeastern woodlands, Joe Bruchac has performed widely. He discusses native culture and does storytelling programs at dozens of elementary and secondary schools each year. We begin our call to celebration with these words. Let us give thanks for a bounty of people, for children who are our second planting. And though they grow like weeds and the wind too soon blows them away, may they forgive us our cultivation and fondly remember where their roots are. Let us give thanks for generous friends with hearts and smiles as bright as their blossoms, for feisty friends, tart as apples, for continuous friends who, like scallions and cucumbers, keep reminding us that we've had them, for crotchety friends, sour as rhubarb and as indestructible, for handsome friends who are as gorgeous as eggplants and as elegant as a row of corn, and the others as plain as potatoes and so good for you. Let us give thanks for funny friends who are as silly as Brussels sprouts and as amusing as Jerusalem artichokes, and serious friends as unpretentious as cabbages, as subtle as summer squash, as persistent as parsley, as delightful as dill, as endless as zucchini, and who, like parsnips, can be counted on to see you through the winter. Let us give thanks for old friends, nodding like sunflowers in the evening time, and young friends coming on fast as radishes, for loving friends who wind around us like tendrils and hold us despite our blights and wilts and witherings. And finally, for those friends now gone, like gardens past that have been harvested, but who fed us in their times that we might have life thereafter. For all these we give thanks. Our prelude this morning is Canoe Song for Welcoming, and our musician and guest, Joe Bruchac, will sing for us.
Kwai kwai, Niton Bach. It is a tradition that...
When we get him unmuted.
Ah, yes. I'm not muted. I must be on your end. Can you hear me now? It is a tradition among our people that when we travel and come to a new community, often on the old superhighways by our canoes on the rivers, like the Mahikanituk, the river that flows 2 ways that you call the Hudson, we would sing from our canoes a song of greeting, asking to be welcomed to join the people on shore. And so I share with you with my drum, whose beat is the same as the heartbeat you heard first from your mother before you were even born. That song of life that draws us all together of the drum and this welcoming song. Yo guano de yo guano da. Yo guano de yo guano da. Gaiawani hey a yokyo hey, 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 yo guano de yo guano da, yo guano de yo guano da, Gaiawani hey a yokyo hey, Gaiawani hey a yokyo hey, Gaiawani hey a yokyo hey, Gaiawani hey.
And now I have our chalice lighting. Please join us in reading the words on the screen along with Joe while I light the chalice. And now we'll all sing together. The unison song this morning is For the Beauty of the Earth. The words will appear on the screen, but if you prefer using a hymnal and seeing the actual score, it's on page number 21. The song leaders are Randy Rosette and Chris Jensen. We welcome our viewers from Facebook who will be joining us now for our service. My name is Sigrun Newell, and I am a service associate today, and we welcome to our pulpit Joe Bruchac, who is a Native American singer and storyteller. We have a reading from Joe next. The reading is Everything Stops. It's a poem based on the words of an anonymous Dakota elder circa 1880.
Everything stops. Everything as it moves now and then stops. The bird as it flies stops in one place to rest from flight, and in another to make its nest. And so at times the great mystery stops. The sun, so bright and beautiful, is one place where our Creator stopped, as are the moon, the stars, the winds, the trees, the animals, and all of us. So we people must stop from time to time to think of those places and send our prayers.
And now Joe will lead us in a spoken meditation.
It is important for us to pause in our daily lives and consider where we are and what gifts have been given to us. There are so many things that we take for granted. The very air that we breathe, we only notice when it is hard to breathe. The water that we drink, we only remember when we are thirsty. This is why we must always, in our minds, be aware of all the gifts around us and all the gifts within us, and always to give thanks. So too, as with this water, each time I drink, I try to remember to say, Ulioni Nabi. Thank you, water, for this gift you give me. And so as I drink this water, I ask you to think of all those gifts you've been given that you may not be aware of or think of, and put them in your mind, and put them in your day, and behave in a thankful way. Ulioni Nabi. Oh.
Join us in a silent meditation. Joe will now present the sermon, Giving Thanks.
Uliuni. Uliuni is our word in the Abenaki language for thank you. If you break that word apart, you realize it has an even deeper meaning. For uli means good, and uni is a process of returning. So when we say thank you, we are saying, I return good to you for the good you gave to me. I was taught many years ago by different elders, including my very dear friend Tom Porter, a Mohawk leader, that the first thing, the great mystery, gave to human beings was this simple way to live, which was always give thanks. When you begin with thanks, everything follows after it. In fact, among the Haudenosaunee, the Iroquois nations, any great gathering begins with what is called the Thanksgiving Address, when in great detail, all of the aspects of creation that can be remembered, the earth, the waters, the plants, the animals, the winds, the sun, the moon, the stars, all of these things are given very clear and explicit thanks. But it is said that long ago, the people became forgetful. They forgot to give thanks, and so they no longer treated each other well. They no longer showed respect to the world around them, and they became very selfish. It has happened in the past. It still happens, as we know, to this day. Now, among our Abenaki people, we have a story of this time. It is a story of the drum. It is said that the people, because they no longer gave thanks, no longer also did the most important thing you can do in life, which is to share. One of the most important things. Share what you have, what you know. But the people had forgotten that. And within their village, each family kept the knowledge that they had to themselves and did not share it with others. If they were good at raising plants, they would not share that knowledge with other people. If they were good at making canoes, they would make canoes but not share those canoes with others. If they were good at medicine, they would not help anyone else who was ill. And as a result, in that village, everyone was suffering with that lack of sharing, that lack of truly being thankful for the gifts that the Creator has bestowed upon us. Now, back then, we say sometimes when we sneeze that the Creator is reminding us to pause. That back then, there was one that our Abenaki people call Gluskomba. Gluskomba was given great power by the Creator and told that one of his most important jobs was to help the human beings. Gluskomba saw that the people were suffering because of their selfishness, because of their inability to share, because they had forgotten to be thankful. And so it is said he made something. He made the first drum, the pak holigan, the hollow object that you strike, which, as I said earlier, holds within it that magic of life, of the heartbeat. In fact, when you hear the drum, you should always remember to be thankful to your mothers, whose heartbeat you heard first. And also we say the heartbeat of the drum is the heartbeat of Mother Earth. So it was, he made that first drum. And then playing that drum, he walked into that village, singing a song, something like this. We gai wane, 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 we gai wane. And as he sang that song, he danced with slow steps in a circle around the center of the village. And inside each lodge, the people could hear him singing, and they liked the sound of that song. They loved the sound of that drum. They came out of their lodges, and as they listened, their feet began to move. They found themselves dancing, and they joined in a circle, joined their hands together, and they sang along with Bruchac those words. We gai wane, 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 we gai wane. And when he had finished singing, he looked around that circle, and all of the people in that circle were smiling, smiles that had not been on their faces in a long time. And as they stood there in that circle, they could all see each other, for in a circle, we can see everyone else's face. They were all part of that circle. And Gluskomba said, Dis donc, my friends, how good it has felt for us to sing and dance together, and how good it is to share that sound of the drum, that movement of the dance, that music of your voices joined together. And so it is, I'm giving you this drum and this song to remind you that the best way to live is sharing. And so it was from that day on. The drum became part of our people. And that idea of sharing those things we know, those things we have, also was passed on. As I pass it on to you to this day, to remind you, always be thankful, always give thanks, and always remember that we need to share. Dane ho, as my Haudenosaunee friends say, so I have spoken.
Our offertory music this morning is coming up on the screen so I can read it. While we're waiting for that, an important way we celebrate life each Sunday is by offering an opportunity to practice generosity. Members and friends support our congregation with an annual pledge paid throughout the year. Another way to support the good work of this congregation is by making a generous contribution as we pass the plate or via one of the options shown. Now Joe has a prayer of affirmation for us.
One of the things I learned many, many years ago from an elder named Harold Tantaquidgeon of the Nulhegan Nation was there are 4 things we need to do all the time. The first, we have to listen, hear the things around us, pay attention, for we have 2 ears and only 1 mouth. We must listen twice as much as we talk. The second thing we need to do is to observe, to use those 2 eyes that we have to see the distant and the close, to see around us and to see within us. And again, 2 eyes and only 1 mouth. The third thing we need to do is remember. For memory is a powerful thing. When we hold on to things in our memory, that which we've seen and heard may be useful to us and to others. And the 4th step we need to take is always to share. For when we share, that circle continues to go around. So I affirm those 4 teachings and that idea that in sharing, everything begins and continues in a circle that never ends.
And now, with the help of the Albany UU Choir, we'd like you to sing along with Peace Like a River. And again, as I extinguish the flame, Joe will read the words on the screen, and you join Joe with reading these words.
We extinguish this flame, but not the light. The warmth of community would again.
And Joe has a benediction for us.
A benediction played on the flute. I return good to you, my friends.
And now we give our thanks this morning to the musicians, Albany UU Choir, Randy Rosette, Chris Jensen, and of course our guest, Joe Bruchac. The ushers this morning were Kristen Abbas, Jean Poppy, Chuck Manning, our pastoral care associate, Eric Van Housen, service associate me, Sigrun Newell, welcomers, Barb Manning, greeter, Barb Metz, office support from Tammy Goddard and Patience Pichette, and technical support from Chris Jensen and Fred Eames.